Yeah, I think what happens when we as Westerners come and visit Africa and we see children running around with no shoes on their feet, wearing rags, not chubby, because obviously, you know, in the West, a lot of our kids have actually got problems with obesity. We're the extreme end, aren't we? So I think probably we come here and we see the average normal family as being, in our eyes, extremely poor and needing to be raised up out of this horribleness that they're living in. Now, obviously, extreme poverty, where people can't eat, and children are dying from preventable diseases. I mean, we do need to obviously step up and help with that. But we've resettled 2 children, a brother and sister, back to a village. They're really poor. I mean, really, you know, I mean, there's no beating around the bush. We funded to buy them bunk beds for the kids to sleep in and mosquito nets. But when you go there, you literally sit on metal drums or whatever you sit on, and, you know, there's no home comforts at all. I mean, our Ugandan social worker has said they're poor. I mean, they really are poor, but their family loves them and the kids are happy because, you know, it's just village life. So I think we've got to stop putting what we think is the answer. I don't think we've got it right. I mean, I don't agree that our children should have 25 pairs of shoes, should have a TV, a DS, a Wii, their own car bought for them when they're 17. You know, they paid to go on a foreign holiday when they're 16. Whatever way that you choose to bring your kid up in the West, I don't choose to do that. Even if I was still living in the West, I wouldn't choose to do that. I don't think my kid needs a TV in a room when she's 9, or a mobile phone, for example. Before we left Wales, Grace was getting towards the age where all her school friends were having all of that. Well, so are we saying that that's what African kids need? Because actually, British kids don't need that. It's ruining British kids. It's ruining American kids. We've got so many problems, haven't we, in the West with our kids who are into drugs and alcohol and pornography and acting out and getting into crime because they're trying to get a kick and trying to feel life, that they're actually missing out on the fundamental, the joy, the love in the being loved in a family. And I think that's why people get shocked when they come here. They say, oh, I can't believe everyone's so happy and joyful, because they can't understand how people can be happy with very little, because we buy our happiness, don't we? In the West, women go and buy clothes to make themselves feel good because their boyfriend just finished with them. It's what we do. It's part of our culture, and it sucks. It doesn't really work. So yeah, maybe that's part of it. And also I think there is a movement in the evangelical church at the moment in America, which is feeding into, if we all adopted an orphan from Africa, there would be no more orphans, which is so ridiculous, because what you're trying to say is, actually, there'll be no more extreme poverty, because that's why vulnerable kids come into the system, because of extreme poverty. That's the reason. So even if you adopted all the kids in orphanages now, if Christians did, there will be another batch coming in because it's usually because of extreme poverty. So instead of asking Americans and other Westerners to adopt an orphan, why don't you work on programs that actually help within the community to actually empower communities and put on daycare centres, get community workers within communities who can listen and love and support, and I think that would be much more beneficial.
So you're saying that it's better to tackle the root causes of poverty rather than try and, I guess, work at the symptoms of poverty? Yeah, definitely. Prevention is better than cure, isn't it? As the old adage goes. Definitely, yeah. I mean, if you look at the usual reasons why a child ends up in institutional care, it's usually because of extreme poverty or a family crisis has happened. So that the mother and father of the child have split up, there's a family dispute, there's nobody helping to mediate between those families, and it all goes a little bit wrong, and the kid in the middle kind of, you know, goes by the wayside and gets put in while they're all still dealing with what they're dealing with. Whereas if people help the root causes, or, you know, I would like to start to see more conflict management people kind of rising up within Uganda, trained counsellors to help mediate family conflict. Because there's a lot of family conflict here, obviously, like in any country, but in any other country, we usually have therapists and counsellors to actually help mediate between the warring parties, but here there isn't so much help. So the child kind of goes to the wayside.